So, a quarter of the season gone, third in the table, 3 points off the top. You'd have taken that at the start of the season, wouldn't you?
Yeah, very much so. Very, very much so. I think because football's now so current, isn't it? So for every manager, every game gets dissected now, and people make assumptions so quickly, good and bad. That's the nature of the game we're in. I think as a manager, I've always been more progressive with my thoughts about the game. I look back on the game as to see why haven't we played well, why haven't we functioned, why have we conceded goals, etc. And I'm very much into performance. I think if you're playing well, the reality is you'll be fine. If you're not playing well, and we probably haven't been playing well since Yeovil, the reality is you'll find yourself in a bit of trouble. So the last 2 days, as you can imagine, has been spent on video analysis, watching clips over, making lads appreciate how hard you have to work to win games. That's with the ball and without the ball.
Yeah, have you just been trying to stay, level-headed with wins and with defeats this season?
I always do. I always do. Football doesn't allow that now for some reason. In sport, especially football in general, fans have changed. Whether we like it or not, fans have changed now. Whatever that's down to, people say it's social media, people say, it's a million different things. Pubs probably not being as busy as they used to be, where people used to talk about the match a lot. Now a lot of fans just want to vent anger quickly. At Notts County this season, when we went in up, they booed them off at half-time at Notts County. For us the other night at half-time, there was a little bit of discontent, and when we're down... And by the way, I think our supporters appreciate, we're 3-0 down, I get that. 100% get it. But we've got to stay with what we're trying to do. And in football today, at times, that can be... You've seen Liverpool go through a little crisis. Jurgen Klopp. It's football today, and for us, you'd always go on the training ground, you work hard, your supporters are your blood at your football club, they keep you going. And they're so important to every football club. Like I say, I'm not criticising our fans, by the way, in any shape or form. No, please, no one take it as that. I'm just trying to highlight the fact that we are a new team. We have been through a difficult period for 3 or 4 games now, possibly even more than that. And within that, we're doing okay.
Yeah, is it just a case of perhaps just trying to be asking for a bit of patience, if you like?
Not from the supporters. Our supporters are terrific. Chesterfield had 9,000 people in for the last game with Woking. We had 7,500 for Maidenhead. Our job is to make our fans happy. 100%, I'm on their side with that. By the way, the interview's probably not gone where I wanted to go. This is not about our fans in any shape or form. This was on about football fans in general now can seem to get disgruntled quickly. That's probably the modern day game. Our fans, trust me, are absolutely fantastic. One of the reasons why I come back here was because I felt I owed them something. Because I felt I owed the club something. That was my mind to come back to try and make them happy. So all I can highlight to our supporters at 3-0 down, I'm sure you can imagine how unhappy I am as well.
Yeah. On to Eastleigh then, tomorrow. A team who don't concede many goals, but don't score many either. What are you expecting down there?
Every game's tough in the division, in the league. Every game brings its challenges with, formations, tactics, team shapes. For me, the last 2 days has been very much concentrating on what we're about. I think from our supporters, they can guarantee there will be changes in the team tomorrow. I think as a loyal manager, sometimes you have to make changes when you feel it's correct. I think our lads had earned the right to have the Maidenhead game. I think they'd earned the right to be loyal after one bad performance or one bad defeat. Unfortunately, now is the time when people who've been patient and waited certainly get the opportunity.
Yeah, a couple of those players who fans have been asking about recently, Bailey Clements and Joe Cook, how have they been getting on in the
They're great lads, all our lads are great, and I won't be debating the team, over, a video, a call from yourselves. The team won't be debated like that. I don't feel the necessity to do that. When we ask people for patience in general, it's because that'll be something at the end of the rainbow for them. So in general, now for our lads who've watched, they've trained hard every day. We have tomorrow's game at Eastleigh, we've got the FA Cup game coming up, and you'd like to think that over them games we'll see more of the players that possibly we haven't seen.
And you mentioned the other day that teams are starting to change the way that they play to stifle you, which I suppose is a compliment. Are you someone who very much sticks to your principles then and just tries to, rather than change yourself, you'd prefer to stick to your own beliefs?
No, I think football today, you have to be, more creative with your thinking. I think the modern day game is very, very tactical now. And every manager would like to think that you have, in every team, guys, there's players on the pitch who will win you the game, and there's players on the pitch who are there to keep you involved in the game. I think if you look at the Man City team at the top end, they defend with 3 people. The 2 centre-halves and a sitting midfielder. I think other teams defend with 4. And then you'll get teams who'll defend with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So it just depends where you sit in the managerial sort of side of that. I've very much been wanting to be an attack-minded manager. Unfortunately, the last 2 games at home have seen us lose both games to teams who've probably been defending deep for large periods of the game and counter-attacking you. So the reality is that's probably where we're most susceptible, is to when we're in possession of the ball in the opposition's half. We give it away cheaply and we seem to concede goals. We don't seem to be under sustained pressure in games where you're defending your 18-yard box and you're clearing it off the line. So the learning curve for our group is looking back at them clips and thinking, what can we do better? What areas should we be playing in? And how can we be more defensively solid?
Yeah, so about ironing out the little details here and there, but not going too far away from what's already been a solid start to the season.
100% that. 100% agree with that, because the big thing then becomes personnel. And the personnel that had seen us start the first 10 games are the personnel that probably played the last 2 nearly, 95%. So the reality is the messages are the same, the consistency is the same in the messages, but sometimes, like everything, consistency for players can be a tough ask at any level of football. Probably in the conference, you're probably more likely to get less consistent lads. So we've got to make sure our lads' consistency is in the messages they're getting and then in the performances they're putting out.
What qualities will you need tomorrow to get back to winning ways, do you think?
We didn't have many qualities at Maidstone, but we won the game. We were outstanding at Oldham and won the game. So the brutal reality is you win games of football sometimes when you least expect it, and sometimes when you've played well. No one can guarantee anything in football. There's not a manager can sit in front of anyone today and say, we'll be okay tomorrow, we'll do this, we'll do that. What we've got to go back to being is what we want to be, which is very much a front foot team, attacking, penetrating, putting crosses in the box, but being defensively sound behind it as well.
Just a few fans asking about George Cooper as well. Obviously, we've seen little glimpses of him. Is he struggling for a bit of fitness at the moment? Again,
like I've said, I don't want to debate all the players because you just end up wasting time and energy. The reality is George is part of the squad. George is travelling down to Eastleigh tomorrow as part of the squad, and as I've said, there'll be changes.
Would you still like to add to the squad if you can?
I've got enough players at the minute. I'm dead happy with the group of players. I think one of the things that Chesterfield Football Club's done over a number of years is continually sign players.
The health of the squad then, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one as well, but have you got any fresh injury concerns?
Yeah, we have. We've got a couple of injury concerns, to be fair. There's a couple of lads that played Tuesday night that are going to be out for a period of time now, which is really disappointing. And that's why I'm suggesting that we're not going to give too much away today in the interviews, because obviously, we don't want the opposition, Lee Bradbury, etc., to be able to say, okay, he's not playing, what will he do, etc. The reality is, like I've said, there'll be changes tomorrow, and we go down there with our normal great support and wanting to win the game of football for them.
Just one final one on the FA Cup draw. Clearly, that's probably not a priority. The league is a priority, but would you like a bit of a cup run if you can?
I love the FA Cup. I absolutely love it. I think, as someone mentioned at the stadium this week, our last game was at Stamford Bridge, and our next one's at Anstey Nomads, which just shows you how amazing the FA Cup is as a competition. We've gone as David and Goliath, and now we're going to be on the opposite end of a David and Goliath, and that's the great thing about the FA Cup. That's next week. I think it's a really good fixture for our supporters to look forward to. I think tickets might be a problem for them, unfortunately, but it's not too far travelling. And obviously we want to be in the first round of the FA Cup, that there's plenty of good teams around our area that we'd love to be a giant killer with. So the reality is that'll take care of itself next week.